A bacterium that produces electricity? How about storing carbon dioxide in seawater? Or creating really strong nanotubes on the cheap? These are just some of the inventions that are capable of completely changing the way we live our lives. But there's a lot more of them. So make sure to watch the video all the way through, because some of these are already being used to change how the world works. Imagine not worrying about electricity because you can produce it out of thin air. Scientists at Monash University have already figured out a way of doing this, and they did it by finding a bacteria that already does the whole thing for us. These bacteria produce HUC, an enzyme that can take hydrogen atoms in our atmosphere and turn it into electricity. The bacteria use this enzyme to survive in the harshest conditions on Earth, from the ocean, deep soil, volcanoes, and even in Antarctica. We've already known about bacteria that can use hydrogen to produce electricity, but this is the first time we've found an instance of it where the enzyme is capable of using hydrogen to produce electricity at below atmospheric concentrations of hydrogen. That's cool, but the scientists had a lot of work trying to figure out how to make more of this bacteria and then how to actually extract the enzyme from the bacteria itself. Because this bacteria lives in really harsh conditions, getting a large sample of it is not easy. So first, they found a way of making lots of this bacteria, and then they put this bacteria through different chemical reactions to extract the enzyme. What you eventually end up with is HUC, the enzyme that can produce electricity from thin air. The possible uses of this enzyme is practically endless. You can use it to make fine adjustments in hydrogen for chemical reactions. You can use it as a hydrogen sensor, but most importantly, you can use this enzyme to generate electricity for low power electrical device without the use of batteries. But this bacteria isn't the only thing that can take gas out of the air, and scientists at Lehigh University have figured out a way of extracting CO2 from the air 3 times more efficiently than previous methods, using mostly off-the-shelf and easy-to-access chemicals and creating a film from it. This isn't even their most interesting discovery. Once you capture carbon dioxide, the most common method of storing it is to compress it into small blocks and then burying it deep underground. But these scientists have actually figured out a way of taking this carbon dioxide and turning it into a bicarbonate, basically into soda, which can then just be dropped into the salty waters of the ocean, where it will stay stored under the ocean forever. Basically, we're giving Coca-Cola to the fish, while also removing massive amounts of greenhouse gas from our atmosphere. The scientists believe that if this method is commercialized, it can potentially remove 1 ton of carbon dioxide at a cost of just around $100, which is the holy grail price target of carbon capture technologies that everyone is trying to get to right now. But the scientific breakthroughs don't stop there. For over 100 years, physicists have been trying to achieve room temperature superconductivity, which would allow practically lossless energy transmission and efficient levitating magnetic train, make computers significantly faster while using a lot less energy and producing a lot less heat, and drastically reduce the cost of medical imaging equipment. Physicists at the University of Rochester have achieved this century-old dream. They created a superconductor that works at room temperature and near room pressure. The compound they made is a solid of hydrogen, nitrogen, and a rare earth metal, lutetium, and it was transformed into a smooth material that can conduct electricity with perfect efficiency. Scientists are excited about this breakthrough, but a lot of them are cautious because this research group has done some research maleficence before. If the results are accurate, this could be one of the greatest breakthroughs in modern superconductivity and a breakthrough that can change how we use technology forever. But achieving superconductivity in wires at room temperature isn't the only innovation that you need. We also need really strong wires. And scientists have also discovered a new way to make high quality wires using a special kind of material called carbon nanotubes. These wires are extremely strong, lightweight, and conduct electricity really well. So while we might not have superconductive wires that are at home yet, this is a good stopgap. They use a special type of plastic film and a low-cost laser to create the wires. The laser heats up the film, which causes the carbon nanotubes to stick and form a wire. You can even use the laser to control how thick to make the wire and also make the wires have different levels of resistance. With this, we can have thinner power line cables that are just as strong and make electronics just last a lot longer. And because this process is so easy to make, we might even see commercial applications of this coming not too far into the future. The best part is older methods of making these wires from carbon nanotubes wasted a lot of them, while this new method is almost perfectly efficient. And even when the carbon nanotube breaks, it can be reused and you can try making the cable again, which wasn't at all possible before. But the most incredible discoveries are the ones that save lives. And the University of East Anglia have developed a groundbreaking new drug that could change the game in the fight against bone cancer. This new drug, called called CADD522. I know, it's a mouthful. Works against all primary types of bone cancer by blocking a gene that drives the cancer spread. Scientists implanted mice with human bone cancer and then administered this drug, and the survival rate of the mice increased by a whopping 50% with no need for surgery or chemotherapy. The best part, unlike traditional cancer treatments using chemotherapy, this drug doesn't cause any significant side effects. The lead researcher, who's really passionate on this topic, has been working on this problem with his team for well over 45 years. There's around 52,000 cases of primary bone cancers every year worldwide, and this drug has the potential to save countless lives. It's already in the steps to start human trials and might be available in the next few years. This is just great news all around. But medicine isn't the only field that's seeing incredible developments very quickly. Researchers at MIT have developed a new and better way of making batteries in a really inexpensive way, using readily available material. And this method of producing these batteries can help solve the problem of backing up power generated from solar and wind sources. Battery uses aluminum and sulfur as its two electrode material, with a molten salt electrolyte in between. It can be used to cheaply store electricity at home or in small businesses, and works best in the tens of thousands of kilowatt hours. The battery cells have really high endurance and can be charged repeatedly for hundreds of times, and can charge very quickly, but only cost a sixth of traditional lithium-ion based batteries. But there is a small drawback. If you want to make one larger installation, the process of using this battery is not very efficient. So if you need something in the tens of thousands of megawatt hour range, traditional battery methods are still a bit better. But this technology can help to decentralize the electrical grid so that if you lose power in one spot, there are enough homes with these batteries to power the grid for a while. And to help address this problem, there's another team at Stanford that have come up with a solar panel that can actually also generate a little bit of electricity at night. These researchers have modified conventional solar panels to generate a small amount of electricity at night by exploiting a process called radiative cooling. This process uses the frigidness of outer space cool an object facing the night sky, making it cooler than the air temperature around it. And this difference in temperature can be used to generate electricity. The energy produced at night isn't anything to write home about, and it's significantly less than the amount of energy it can produce during the day. But if you have low power applications like just using it for lighting, charging your phones, or just having monitoring equipment, this will do the trick. So when you're thinking about solar, you can't forget about the night. Check out this video next for more cool tech discoveries.